finally getting to this game, like, 7 months later.
Fuck you, Capcom, you lazy assholes.
We imported a physical Switch copy from Japan.
This is a point where I would also bring up them reselling each Devil May Cry individually on the Switch, but that led to a better version of Devil May Cry 3, so I guess it worked out in the end. Law of equivalent exchange.
Like, this is an actual physical...
Also, remember, there is that opening cutscene that explains, like, the backstory and whatnot. Or does that play when you start a new game?
I think if you start a new game, that just plays. Because this is just...
That's just the trailer.
So, like, this is an actual physical Japanese copy.
As shown by that being the Japanese logo.
See?
Okay, yeah, I think it does.
Look. This is an actual physical copy of this game.
Okay, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I skipped it, but...
Because it would just play right here.
And, as you can see, it's in English. Fun, just quick note, this isn't a modified Switch or a modified copy.
Or like the PC version or whatever.
If your Switch is set to English, this game that I imported, the physical Japanese version, just has English in it.
Oh.
So, like...
Which is fascinating because it is the Japanese version, like I said, the title screen was different. It's not even like when you swap to English, it has the English title screen.
It's a Japanese title screen, but it's an English copy. Text-wise, this is the English version of the game. So, again, further going into Capcom being lazy assholes because
But we have the ability to switch styles in Devil May Cry 3 now. Sometimes things must be sacrificed for the greater good. Law of equivalent exchange.
So.
And apparently it's going to have more features, and I have no idea what the fuck they could add. There were, like, rumors of them adding some more multiplayer thing, but I'm not sure if anyone knows this. In the original Devil May Cry 3, if you use the doppelganger style or are fighting Arkham when you have Virgil with you, if you actually have a second controller plugged in, they can control either the doppelganger, Dante, or Virgil in the one section. What's a fascinating thing about that is, like, the Virgil in that section actually does have some of the moveset from when he was playable. I think you only have Yamato when you do that, but it is still interesting that, you know, that, like... Basically, because the special edition was a re-release, that was a thing in the base game.
So yeah, Sean and Brian had live, so I just decided we'll just do this without them, because this game, if you're going out of your way to get everything, this game can eat up some hours.
Yeah,
And in case anyone was going to ask what I consider everything, and I'm going to basically do this, it's a basic run of not every individual thing that can be found in the game, but just the important collectibles and important...
Every stray bead and every upgrade maxed out, basically.
And all the hidden powers, because there are hidden powers.
Well, some of those hidden powers you needed to use stray beads to get, I believe, one or two of those. So.
I'm also gonna get all the gold dust, so...
Ooh, foreshadowing.
Most of the gold dust is easy! Most of the stray beads are kind of easy too! And, as a side note, we will get to it later, but this is a common thing, and I've never done other research into what I'm about to say, so take this one specific statement with a grain of salt. It's about the collectibles, since we're talking about it anyway before we've even seen them. Years and years ago, I had basically seen people talk about Okami, and they talked about the collectibles, being missable. As in, if you don't get these collectibles, you can't go back. But when I was learning Okami HD and looking up videos and doing research and stuff to 100% the collectible list, I found these interesting guides that 100% of the game, at the end, they went back. And I know they were at the end because of the weapons they had and the amount of health. They went back. Every stray bead in the game, they went back for.
What it seems to be is it seems like the PS2 and Wii versions of Okami stuff was missable.
That's what I was about to say.
But the HD version seems
unless that was complete bullshit in the Wii and PS2 version.
Or was like a bug or something in one of those versions.
Because there are areas I was honest to God convinced you couldn't get back into, and you fucking can.
Because there's a, because it's spoilers aren't exactly copyright when we get there. There's an area that in the Wii version is known for the Wii version crashing, so people recommend to whenever you do anything there, run back to the save.
However, there are still a few missable. The stray beads are not. Some gold dust is. We'll get to that when we get there. I know I'm explaining this before we've started playing, but I just wanted to kind of.
You kind of need to lay this out flat because this will explain like the structure of how we tackle this, because there will be moments in this game we handle things completely ass backwards.
Yeah. Oh, there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of cutting and backtracking. Because to get all the important shit, you have to, do a lot of that. And I'm not 100% against that, and while missable gold dust kind of irks me, the fact that the major collectibles and powers are not missable, I am far happier with. Because I would rather the more obnoxious collectibles in this game be collectible at the end versus like random gold dust, because the gold dust, while useful, I find that a far less damning loss than being, oh, let me look at the stray beads. Oh, turns out I missed like this many that I can never go back for. That shit drives me insane. And this game...
Your 10-2 hate is showing. Put that away. Well, I would say put that away. There are children around, but children shouldn't be watching this. Yes, I will beat that dead horse until I get a 100% confirmation on it.
Oh, fucking 10-2.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
That's just a mini fucking rant for people who might be confused to why, 10-2 kind of bothers me. 10-2 is chapter-based, and a bunch of the side quests and shit in 10-2, if you do not arbitrarily talk to people in a certain chapter and help them, a lot of people, for no good reason, just arbitrarily do not exist, making a lot of my problem with 10-2 so much is missable that forces you to use New Game Plus, and the reason it bothers me in 10-2 is just a quick note about 10-2 without, spoiling it for people if you were gonna get mad that you've never played 10-2, just because this, I don't think, is a spoiler, and it's just a fine point. 10-2's main gimmick is job class changing by getting these items that basically let you change job classes on the fly. That's how the battle system works. Because even at the beginning of the game, you start with a party who all have a different job class. That's not the job class they're stuck with. if you want to change the party between the job classes you started with, all 3 of them can change into all 3 of those job classes. Most of the side quests that are missable in 10-2, and a lot of the treasure chests that are missable, are items to get other job classes. And that bothers me, because in a game about changing job classes, having like 30, 35, 40 maybe % of job classes just not be something that the player can easily get a hold of just drives me insane. Because I feel it starts to kind of undermine the job classes, and tons of people who I've talked to who kind of defend it are like, well, what's the point of the side quest then if the game is just going to, like, hand you everything? I'm not saying hand me everything. I don't mind doing a job class side quest. Why should the guy who gives me the job class side quest, why should he suddenly not be standing in this one area because I arbitrarily didn't help one other person 3 chapters ago? 90% of the people do not move around in a way that makes coherent sense to me. And it just feels like they designed the game to force replay because you will miss some of the most integral and important job classes in the game. Damn it, cats. Ah, yeah. So, back to Okami.
Back to the video game.
We've been here like 10 minutes, by the way.
Game's thick.
Speaking of thick.
You see, in Japan, peaches are associated with, I believe, like, fertility and beauty. So, like, if you wonder why, like, you know, Princess Peach, where she gets her name, or peaches are associated with female characters, that's why. It's also because they look like an ass. And now I bet you can't unsee that. And was that a thing? I'm not sure, like, if this is the case. I haven't looked up what the Japanese name is, but in Pikmin 3, whenever you pick up a fruit, all of the fruits are given funny names by your ship. Wasn't the peach a mock bottom?
And then there's the lesser mock bottom.
What fruit was that?
It's a smaller peach-like fruit that has completely escaped my mind. So, I'm going to try to actually, like, we ramble, and sometimes I know we get kind of off topic, but this is going to be a game where I'm going to actually try to teach people some things, because, and this is just a funny point that I wanted to use this game as a springboard for. Parts of this game are obtuse and stupid, and I have seen grown-ass men get confused and give up on this game in less than a freaking hour. Because the opening of this game, to be fair, is fucking terrible.
Remember when I said shit was ass backwards?
And I think it speaks for... And yes, that's her butt.
Like I said, peaches are... in Japan, they're associated with basically women because, well, it looks like a butt.
So, I think this is a really good example of a game that so many people now hate this culture of, oh my god, hand-holding tutorials. Do you think I'm an idiot? Yeah, I've seen tons of grown-ass men give up on this game because they don't understand it. Tutorials and some explanation. If your game is advanced enough or using mechanics that are not exactly common, tutorials and some explanation don't ruin the game. Because I have seen on Twitch in the past year or so, I've watched several streams of people playing this for the first time to get a feeling on, like, how people handle this without using guides. And a good chunk of those people played like an hour in, get to this one infamously stupid early part, and they give up. And I think that speaks for maybe tutorials and easy to grasp openings are not bad things. Because this game has some PS2 era jank of stupid location things, of like obtuse triggers. And I feel it kind of ruins points of this game.
The one thing I've wondered, and anyone who, you know, is like looked into this, they could answer this. I wonder if any of the like problems are a result of not like a botched localization, but like a weird one. Because while most of this game's Japan-isms were kept around for like obvious reasons, you still, if you pay attention, some names and stuff are shortened to make it easier to understand for like us Americans. So I wonder if for whatever reason a hint that was supposed to be more clear in the Japanese version,
which leads to one of the best things I've wanted to see, where it's never 100% been confirmed, but there's this pretty good rumor along the grapevine of people who got in contact with people who worked at Capcom, and at the time this game was being made, because of the localization team making Phoenix Wright be basically set in America, they were basically trying to set this game in America, and I want to see the translation notes of how the fuck they were going to pull that crap off, because Phoenix Wright...
My best guess is it would try to be passed off as some, like, you know, like European medieval style of fantasy.
And now we can finally freaking play.
How long have you...
Not counting the buffer period, taking a couple of seconds for some dead silence, we're 17 minutes in.
Well, that's also another thing, like, due to this game being made on the PS2, and the PS2 being kinda jank in a lot of areas, a bunch of the cutscenes in the PS2 version of the game were unskippable, because they were basically used to mask and hide loading zones. The, you know, HD version doesn't have to deal with that, so all the cutscenes are skippable in the HD version, right?
Hold on. So, yeah, the beginning of the... Hold on. You can also, like, mess...
I think because it's naturally inverted, you'll want to hit the invert X and Y, which should put it back to normal. Stop doing that, developers. Listen, and like, normal is normal and inverted is inverted.
There we go. Yeah, that makes way more sense to me.
Also, I don't care what fucking Microsoft Flight Sim you played in 1996.
So, yeah, like, just... The reason I swapped the camera, because now if I do up...
You see, that makes sense.
And if I do down, it's doing that.
That makes sense.
Left, right. Okay. These are save points.
What, like... You know, this is one of the biggest pet peeves I have had. Why is, like, inverted camera controls? Where did that actually start?
And now... Because this game has a lot of files, what I'm going to
Remember to roll back your saves.
I'm creating a save, but then what I'm going to basically do, and
Next time we save, we're gonna move down to file 2.
No, we're moving down to file 2 right the fuck now. Because, and this is a very infamous note that I'm trying to specifically avoid, the Switch version, especially the eShop download, was known for just fucking crashing. And I am not losing hours of progress.
Well, that's part of the reason.
So, my saving rule, that second file is going to be constantly overwritten in the middle of an LP. The top file is going to be used... Like, I'm gonna
basically start and end recordings.
No, we're ending on file 3. And I'm probably going to then go to 4, 5, and 6 to cycle multiple saves. And someone might go, why the fuck would you cycle multiple saves? Because this game can
Well, also just general recording fuck-ups and outside of the game. And that leads to part of the reason we're actually going was the, like, Japanese version of the game is that, like, apparently, supposedly, and this is what we wanted to test, because Capcom were kind of lazy.
The eShop version of the game, apparently the crashes is more specifically the eShop and not the Switch version as a whole.
Because Capcom were apparently lazy assholes and the digital version was very much a, like, rush job.
But, to be safe, I'm going to basically... So, to be safe, I am basically going to have... We're going to roll through a lot of files in this game. I'm going to not try to keep it too many, but I'm going to try to have some old recordings be back by like 1 or 2, just in case. So... The main beginning of the game, like, I am kind of skipping through the text. I'm not reading it, but, well, I'm reading it, but I'm not vocalizing it. So, he has the Celestial Barrage, and he mastered Rejuvenation, which fills shit in. If I'm skipping too fast, or you weren't reading the basic controls... Now we're on the Switch, but most console versions generally like B is jump, Y is attack.
Because you're in the overworld, you can't attack, so it's a dash.
ZL does this little mini-map thing. A lot of people can't figure that one out. And as a dumb little note, but this is a good time to bring it up, she starts picking up speed if you run for a minute, but a good trick to pick up speed a tiny margin faster, dash, and she almost immediately goes into mid-run for some fucking reason. I don't know why. And then you basically, this is a dead end, so you get stuck.
It's a dead end. The only way to get through is to use chaos control.
So...
The only answer I could give to the speed cap, and it's like, I actually find, like, the specs of a console and stuff fascinating, not because of any stupid, getting a game from, like, 1996 to run an Ultra HD wide screen 4K on my fucking curved television. I don't care about that. I find it interesting when, like, the kind of specs of a console sort of influence the design, because for those that know, like, the architecture of the PS2 was ridiculous, but not ridiculous in a good way. It was ridiculous in a bad way, and how if you do one wrong thing ever so slightly, the console would basically
Also,
implode.
I watched a streamer get stuck on this puzzle for 20 minutes. That speaks... The guy, and it was, again, a grown-ass man, was stuck here for 20 minutes. They just couldn't grasp the concept of what the game wanted.
But anyway, as I was saying, like I said, the PS2, it's actually very fascinating to, look into, like, the architecture of the PS2, because there's a lot of shit the system couldn't do without bursting into flames. My best guess is Amaterasu's speed was probably capped, so did the PS2 version of this game do that trick Spyro does of objects in the distance are rendered at a lower, like, fidelity
the
or something?
The PS2 version is very specific designed for a number of things, because...
So, like, that's my best guess, is that it basically...
Because the PS2 version, design-wise, also has that one thing that a bunch of avid fans of this game absolutely hate about the HD version,
I'm going to wait until a mechanic is introduced to actually go over the one thing, though
I'm just talking about the other general art aesthetic.
Oh yeah,
And
because
some other...
oh yeah, basically
The PS2 version is more splotchy and ink-like.
but that's because it was, as you can tell, designed to look like
The
Japanese.
HD version is redone art.
I will give it does sort of kind of have that Wind Waker. It's a bit too clean at points, though we don't have Wind Waker HD.
But at the same time...
Though we don't have Wind Waker HD's blooms, so it's like it's not as jarring or as noticeable.
So, the way you draw, like, you hold R, you can move the camera, and then your attack button starts to become your, like... Yeah. I filled it in, and you, like, you can keep going.
You do have a limited supply of ink here, as you can see in the top corner.
But that doesn't matter too much, because the way that, like, I'm just letting the ink refill. I know it's a little bit... I can just do a tiny bit. It connected. You have limited ink, but it's on a recharge timer, so... Here's one of the most useful freaking items in the game. Astro Pouch. If you eat enough food, that is auto life. And I'm going to bring up something now that is a very important note. It's another thing we're going to be doing that isn't that hard to do, but it's a good note about the thing. At the end of this game, when the credits are done, secret collectibles are unlocked for doing some objectives. One of the objectives is not dying a minimum amount of times. Astro Pouch revivals do not count as a death. Death is the game over screen. So if you've got an Astro Pouch and absolutely for some reason just...
Or I think there's a... Is there an item that revives you when you die?
No.
Yeah,
it has to be Astro Pouch.
Okay.
It has to be Astro Pouch. But that does not count as a death. So if you're absolutely going for the best rank and trying to avoid the minimum amount of deaths, I'm bringing that up now because that's just a good note. So, first off, one of the stray beads is over here. And we can... There's 100 of these fucking things. Now, as another note, since we finally found one, so, hold on. Also, that'll just remind you of your controls. Stray beads. There are 100. Now, you might go, but that says 99. This isn't really a spoiler, it's just a good note. The final stray bead is only obtainable for beating...
For you basically getting all other stray beads.
No.
Beating the game?
Beating the game.
Okay.
Beating the game is the trigger. I'm saying this now because I don't want people getting misconstrued.
Yes. Some guides, talk about there being 100 stray beads, so unless, like...
That's not really a spoiler.
Unless, like, a guy brings that up at the beginning, you could potentially...
think that...
There's one, like, hidden one that you're missing or something.
So, you can only unlock the stray bead reward. This game has a new game plus.
Yeah.
Again, that's not really a spoiler, just to preface how... I don't want people thinking, oh shit, where's the stray bead I'm missing? How the fuck did I miss it? You didn't miss anything. You can only get the reward on a new game plus. I've tested this. It's time for the question of the day and my overall thoughts on the topic. So, anyway, how is the audio balancing in this part? I always ask that at the start of a Let's Play, so I know if I should make changes or not as the Let's Play goes on. However, sometimes I do retroactively make changes as the Let's Play goes on if I feel like I need to, but this was the audio level I decided on. I thought the music was audible, but I thought me and Carson were not being drowned out by it. So I think this audio level is fine, but I would happily tweak the audio if people really wanted it to be tweaked, whether that tweak is making the game audio louder or making the game audio less loud, or making me and Carson louder, or making me and Carson less loud. Either or is fine, but I'm rambling. You can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments, or you can leave them on social media. All my social media links, as well as my Discord link, are in the video description. Now, as always, I need to be a chill for a minute. If you subscribe to the channel, and if you follow me on social media, that really helps our communities grow. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I will see you all next time. So good night, everybody.